and the winter season has officially arrived. Even though there are still more to come, but hell, we are already rolling with new anime series that we are anticipated, more or less, and some of them come off the way that we didn't even think is going to be such a disaster. I'm not going to really talk about that one, but I am going to talk about one other series. But before we do that, let's introduce myself. This is Sparda's World Podcast, episode 56. Your host, Sparda 3G, and what anime am I going to talk about? Usually I would do this in the extra, but I really don't have that much material for the news report, so I'm just going to fill this in with a very short impression. Now, there are a lot of series. There are some of them expected, you know, that's what I meant to say. Some of them are something else. I'll be honest, I can't really watch that series because I have not seen the first season, but holy hell, if you're familiar with Terraformers Revenge, I have actually took a glance, actually saw most of episode 1, and I know I should not be cheating on that because I should really start from the beginning, and understandable of that. However, I really have to see it to believe. And there's a lot of things, there's a reason why this season is such a disaster. Up to the point I'm actually thinking myself, I should apologize to Studio Perrier and Toei Animation. And granted, it does give you the idea, you know, it's not really about the studio. Now, granted, that is true, though there is still fault to the studio itself. It's just depends on the staff as well. It actually really relies on the staff, but at the same time relies on the studios and the directions and the production value, what they have, what the source material they could contain to give. But anyway, that's another story. Put it this way, if you are one of those people that read Terraformer and decided to watch the anime or only watch the anime, I will bet you that you are feeling very, very, very displeased with the second season. And, you know, I got a good hunch of what Terraformers originally be about and how this first season even gone. So just imagine to see season 2 to be such a disaster. There's so many reviews, rants, videos you could go after there. I won't do it because it's not fair since I never see season 1 nor have read the manga. I'm not going to cheat my ways just to say like I know what I'm talking about, which I really don't. But I am very familiar with this source in terms of like it's supposed to be dark, it's supposed to be gritty and all that stuff, and to see how it transformed to this, and the animation is, oh my god, it's like it's trying to find a way to compete with Dragon Ball Super, or one of the weakest source materials that Toei Animation and Studio Para ever produced. It's terrible. But we're not going to talk about that any longer because, again, I have that much source material to even talk about it since I never see season 1, never read the manga. But I am going to talk about what I'm familiar with. And it is a series that is very much hype. It is a series that Funimation has the courtesy to name it the next Dragon Ball Z Naruto, which I think that's not true because maybe if you want to talk about popularity, I can't really guarantee to say it can be. I can't really guarantee to say that it won't be, but I don't think it should be considered to think about that way because I feel like Boku no Hero Academia, which is that's the series, it should not be comparable to those type, and it should not be like be mentioned or be lined up because sometimes there are not a lot of people that actually are a fan of those series, even for Dragon Ball Z. Yes, I know a lot of people in America love Dragon Ball Z to death. The box office was a huge hit for limited screen only, you know, but it should not be compared. It should not be lined up. It should not be too much of a lie as well. I can't say it's a complete lie, but if you talk about popularity, fine. Maybe they're trying to really sell this to be the next big thing. However, if it's really talking about how's the action, everything, you got to say that is a kind of too much of a push, because again, the series itself is on its own, and what it is it does something that's, I wouldn't say unique, but it separates apart from Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. And it's funny because there are people that calling it the Naruto that's done right. Not because it's necessarily on the ninja, because there's no ninja. Well, it depends on the hero, but that's not my point. It's not the theme, the whole premise is not surrounding on the ninja. It's actually about the hero, the quirks, as they call it, for powers. There's the reason why people are calling it like the Naruto that's done right is because, there's a lot of material. There's a lot of things that Naruto has done, but a lot of things has failed to succeed or failed to meet the expectation, as this series is actually doing a lot of things that's doing right so far, whether it to be done great or done it just on the okay amount, doing it on the decent rate. I can't really call anything about that. I don't want to compare it again. And I don't really want it to say that it is Naruto that's done right, because it is early on. Anything is possible after 85 chapters, Anything could happen, anything could go wrong, anything could go, maybe it could get even better. I don't know. It's still early on. It's funny because it feels like a lot of things did happen in this series, but we're still at chapter 85 or even, above. Point is, it seems so early to call it anything but, the Naruto successor or whatever like that. And I know Kishimoto is pushing this series to be the next big thing. It's really giving that push. So I can understand why people are already comparing Boku no Hero Academia with Naruto, Dragon Ball Z in terms of popularity, I'm assuming. But to me, I see it as on its own. It feels like it's something that's doing a little bit different twist. It's something that's the similar premise, the whole underdog story. It's something that we all familiar with, which is nothing wrong with that. But I can see, something different from the, kind of like how I see One Piece with other Shonen Jump series, especially for Shonen Jump series. There's some different parts, different elements that really sticks out that makes me think that this series can really be a very grand slam hit. Boku no Hero Academia is still early on, and I feel like there will be a moment that is going to put itself on the map. It's going to make itself a must. How Naruto has this Chunin exam, Bleach has this Soul Society art. Those moments are like something that will make you into a fan. And if it doesn't make you into a fan, then it's best to read elsewhere. Or you could just still continue to read, but don't expect for something phenomenal. But then again, a lot of series does a lot of great things very early on, and it never lives up any more than that after that happens. And sometimes it can never be, not a lot of series can be as great, but some of them could really drop the ball very fast and just go downhill. And it's funny because that's the reason why I brought up Bleach and Naruto, because I feel like they did it so fast with their biggest moments of the series itself, the moment of where you become a fan. And then after that, it just feels like, there are good parts. There's definitely good parts, especially like in the part 1 era. But when it comes to part 2, that's a different story. So, I don't know about Boku no Hero Academia. It's still early on, but we're going to talk about the anime itself. So the anime has been premiered on Sunday, this past Sunday. I actually didn't watch it on the first day of premiere. I actually watched it on Monday. So I saw it, and lo and behold, it is a series that is pretty much getting the most push. It is a series that's getting the most advertised. It is a series that's pretty much going to be something that's weekly Shonen Jump. The publication. There's something they really, really wanted to make this series into the next big thing. And it can be. It really can be. Anything is possible. I mean, like Attack on Titan, I don't think nobody would think it would be that much of a huge hit. I think everybody expected, like, I don't know, like a One Punch Man, Tokyo Ghoul rate of success. But instead it went to like, let's see, like, if you do math, like 3/5 of One Piece rate, which is pretty damn good, you know? Trust me, it is so good. But with Boku no Hero Academy, it's still early on. Now, as for the anime itself, what it does is introduce the series, of course. However, I'm actually kind of surprised how it's done. And what I think about the series, the episode itself, I actually find it to be pretty good. It's a pretty good beginning, and I find it interesting that Bones is actually taking his time to introduce the character, introduce everything that the story has to offer. Or, you know, not every exact same thing, but the idea of what the story is going to take you for a ride, where it is going to take you. For example, with Naruto, you see Naruto, the underdog, the loud mouth, a bratty guy, the guy who's alone, the guy who has a kid who has the nine-tailed fox demon inside him. Then he was hated, and then he has to go through all that harsh. And then, you know, he has found one person that really cares about him, is Iruka Sensei. Then he goes through his Kagebushin no Jutsu for the first time ever, which he was failing at. And then, you know, for the rest is history. You get the entire thing. Boku no Hero Academia, anime-wise, it's actually going a different approach. It didn't really animate the entire chapter 1. Instead, it did the first half, which is interesting because usually you wanted to tell the readers, the audience, you want to tell the audience exactly what we're going to look at, exactly how we're going to, what is our connection with the main character. It got that, though. That's the funny thing. It almost feels like the first chapter was like much longer than every first chapter of a weekly series, which is, you know, not really true. But Bones managed to make that work, and I never felt like it was very dragged out. I never felt like it was dragged. It never felt like they were trying to put too much filler that really didn't add too much. But instead, it added more to the different side that we really wanted to see. It showcase how the hero works, showcase the quirks, the way how the hero gets their pay, the governments, how they see things, how the audience sees it. And then we actually still get the introduction with Deku. Deku is being played by Daiki Yamashita. I'm not really familiar with the voice actor, the seiyuu. I'm not really familiar with his work. But so far, I'm actually liking this voice actor choice for Deku. I think because I was a bit afraid, and this is bias, I admit. I was a bit afraid that Deku was going to be voiced something that's very, you know, very light, like a very childish, for something that think as Army from Attack on Titan. Nothing against him. It fits his character. But, you know, with Deku, it felt like it was almost asking for that because he is that kind of kid. But then again, he's not really like that because he's actually a smart kid. He's feared because he has to grow up without the idea of being a hero, which is the sad part of the story. That's the drama piece of the first chapter about him giving up not really giving up the idea of being a hero, but the idea of being a hero it's like there's no chance in hell he can be one without any quirk. So even though he's gonna keep raise high and try to be like a hero still with no quirk, it just still seems impossible. So that being said, I feel like this voice actor is doing a good job of pretty much presenting this character as a smart kid. And yet, you know, a kid that really wants to be a hero, that really wants to do what he, you know, and he presents the fanboy side of him pretty well as well. So it feels like it's doing a good job. Of course, we have to see the action phase part, but you know, we only got a glimpse when you see the first PV ever with that punch. It sounds like he could have a right voice to make the action emotional impact. So we'll see it when that time truly comes. All Might. Let's see. Well, actually, we gotta go with Bakugo. Bakugo is being voiced by Nobuhiko Okamoto, which I'm actually familiar with him with Karma from Assassination Classroom. So it definitely is him, and he is playing more of a a loudmouth, simple-minded guy, which he's doing a good job as Bakugo. And it does fit the character perfectly well. It's expected he's going to be like very trashy talk, very bad mouth guy. It's expected, but he's doing his job, and he's doing a really good job on it. Now All Might is being voiced by Kenta Miyake, and I really like his English. He does speak English at moments. He even says shit. It's kind of funny just because I'm hearing English. But seems so far the English is good. The way he says his attack name seems so good too. It's a fitting voice. It's definitely doing a great job as these characters. I don't want to talk about too much of the first episode, but if you're at the manga chapter, you should know where it exactly stopped at, and where it's interesting because, again, it didn't really animate the entire first chapter. It animated only the first half. It stopped at where Deku asks All Might about being a hero. Can he be like him without the use of quirk? And in the manga, it's actually ended in somewhere else. It ended where, like, it goes to full circle, where the moment that he was when he was asked his mom, can he be a hero? And, it goes to full circle, and it's an emotional scene. But I'm liking what Bones is doing here, where they actually put a lot of focus on Deku. I'm calling it Deku. He has actually a different name, but the Deku comes from Bakugo. You will learn more of that later on if you haven't read the manga. But anyway, what I'm liking is that the whole focus, they really taking his time to do the introduction. And again, it doesn't feel like it's being dragged. It doesn't feel like it's being, it doesn't feel that much of a slow pace, which is funny because I would have been like, man, it's taking a while. But it seems like it's really building up. And if the next episode ends at the end of chapter 1, I feel like it will hit the right impact. I don't think chapter 1 ending, I don't think the end of chapter 1 should be happening at the middle of the second episode. But if it does, well, I'm just hoping for the impact to be delivered. Because I actually like that scene. I actually like that moment in the end of chapter 1. And this is where I have to go from there. The soundtrack. Honestly, I think the soundtrack stole the show. I really like the soundtrack. I don't mean the opening endings, but they are good too. Visually and, just the song itself. They're good too. I'm talking about the soundtrack. I feel like the sound department in this show is very promising, and it seems like it's so high budget. I don't know if it's because of my speakers. I don't know if it's because of what I have. It has this whole, I don't know if it's the speaker's fault, but then again, I watched Erase. I didn't get that much of a high caliber 5.1 surround sound sounding, unless the episode was really bad, but I remember getting a 1080p, so I can't really guarantee it. But whatever. Point is, this episode, even if I don't need a 5.1 surround sound, the soundtrack itself is great. I feel like it captured the set. It captured the mood. It really delivers a lot of things. I actually was feeling a lot when Deku was watching a video after learning that he can never be the hero, or just the fact that he can't have a quirk. It felt like it was a strong way to really capture the whole scene, and that's not even the end of it. It just amazed me. The soundtrack sounds so good. Like, I should have known, because the PV, when you watch the PVs of the PV5, I think that's the last one. If you've seen that one, you will know the soundtrack sounds heavily promising, and it sounds really authentic. It sounds it captures the right emotion. It captures the right mood, the atmosphere of the scene, and it feels like that's what I'm going to be from. So, if that being said, if they do episode 1 ending, if they do chapter 1 ending in the next episode and end it there, it will feel very impactful. It will feel like everything it will feel very awestruck. It would feel like it would just hit the feels, as the people like to call it nowadays. I feel like it's because the soundtrack is so strong in this episode. Maybe later on the soundtrack will be okay-ish, but I don't know. Right now, I feel like the soundtrack sounds very promising. I wanted to hear them. I wanted to listen to the entire soundtrack. I want to own the CD and whatever. I like it so far. I know it's only first episode. Maybe they used the best of the best. But I really like it, and the sound department sounds really good. Again, it could be, maybe it's just that Bone Studio is just really high productive on the sound department. The one that's doing the composing the soundtrack is actually Yuki Hayashi, who done Haikyuu. That's once I found that out, I was like, now it makes sense. Now I know why I'm really loving the soundtrack. And with this series, it makes it feel like the series is such a mega buck series that it's going to it's going to sell the manga volumes really quick, which I don't know if it's true, but words on the street saying that these manga sales are really increasing rapidly after the debut episode. I don't know if it's true. I don't know. I heard things. I'm not going to say this is confirmed. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I'm only hearing words from a lot of people, but I'm probably going to give you the update in the future. The only one thing that really perplexed me, and not too much of a negative way, but it's something that concerns me, and is the idea that it's going to be only 13 episodes. 13 episodes. Now, it's understandable because Bones really has a lot of anime there's a lot of anime they're doing right now. They're doing Stray Dogs as well in this season alone. They're going to do Mob Psycho 100, Mob Psycho, I believe, next season, right? So there's that too. And there are a lot of materials to cover for Boku no Hero Academia, or you want to call it My Hero Academia. There's a lot of materials. It's just I think they're doing this because, well, I guess they are going to contain their production, which so far the production has been going well. The animation looks really clean, looks really clean, smooth. Everything seems in the right textures. It has the right tone. It has the right tone for the comedy scenes, and I really like And while this episode didn't have that many actions, it feels like when it comes to the action, it's going to feel very comic book like, and it's going to be really nice. It's going to feel like it's going to stand out a lot to the people who likes comics. They probably are going to enjoy this one. It really has a lot of promising in the first episode. The first episode shows a lot of promises in the productions and how the action is going to work, how the scenery is going to play out. It's definitely handled much better than Terraformer. But yeah, 13 episodes. They're doing a 13 episode. I believe I like to believe they're going to make a second season around this fall. My best guess. I can be wrong, but I would love that because this series could really, really put them on the map. It's gonna really elevate the series a lot in the Shonen Jump, and the Shonen Jump would be so heavily proud to get another series that's going to make the millions and millions of money. So we'll see how this works. But like I said, the first episode, I really enjoyed it. I thought it's pretty good. It shows a lot of things what could be done. What's promises. Production seems to be good too. Definitely the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack already. It's only one episode. Also, I think the idea with 13 episodes, I feel like it's going to cover the introduction. A lot of season 1 has a tendency to do the introduction season, as in take a lot of time just to do the introduction, and then season 2 will be a lot of things to go explore. Some of season 1 they do introduction and then a lot of stories and a lot of character development. I feel like for Boku no Hero Academy, it might fall the same way as being the intro. It's kind of like One Punch Man. It is a huge introduction. That's why you don't get that much out of the story. You just have to have fun with it. You're not supposed to think hard. You're not supposed to try to explore too much because there's nothing to explore yet. It's like that, except for Boku no Hero Academia. I guess you could say Boku no Hero Academia is going to be the same thing. My best guess. But definitely you should check it out. I'm not going to say this is the best anime of the season, but I'm only talking about this because this is the series. I'm familiar with the manga. The series that pretty much get the most push out of all the series that we could name right now in this season alone. Like I said, Funimation's pushing this hard. So Weekly Shonen Jump is pushing this hard. Fans itself is pushing it hard. So I have to talk about this, and definitely try to check it out. Hopefully it goes well by end of 13th episode. And that's pretty much it. So you gotta see it for yourself. Quickly, we're going with some news. Hunter x Hunter English dub. Well, it's going to have a premiere on Adult Swim, no less. So Adult Swim is definitely broadcasting Hunter x Hunter English dub, and it will be on April 16th. So I'm actually curious how they're gonna voice these characters, especially there's many characters I'm actually curious how they sound like English. I can't promise that it's gonna be great. Who knows? Maybe it'd be great. I don't know. I always wonder when's the last time I ever hear a good dub since Dragon Ball Z. Maybe that's just me. But then again, I haven't watched that many dub in a while. I did like Full Metal Alchemist dub though. In the last news to bring up, this one is actually nice to see, is that in winter anime season, it actually ended with Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. I hope I said that right. I think that was the last anime that came from winter season. Ended in the last one to end it. I can't be wrong, but it was definitely something that I really liked the most. I think this was the best one of the season, bar none. So hearing about season 2, that's right, season 2 is being announced. I was in tears. Well, not literally, but I was pretty much what I'm saying is I was happy. I was so happy to hear this announcement. The manga is definitely ending on summer, I believe. It's ending in summer. So I guess it's fair that they're really going to finish everything in an anime form, which is cool, which is great. I'm happy for that. The series is so underrated. And I can understand the target audience and so on. But I think a lot of people should really try to check this out. It's really something else. It's something that's really being overlooked because of the other series that are too familiar from the other one, which is not bad. And then you have the other series that somehow took a major spotlight, like Race. And, this one should not be ignored. This one should really be on the lookout. And definitely season 2 is a pleaser. A lot of people were happy. I was happy. Praise the sun. And that's it for the news. The whole first impression. This is the only rare case I'll do it on the podcast. I'll continue to do it on the extra. But in this case, I'll do it here just because it does relate back to my last episode about the whole spring season of spring anime season. So I just want to do it for one occasion. Alright, enough with anime. How about some manga?
Where you going? Hikari zenbu atsumete Kimi no ashita terasu yo.
Well, after the random fan service and actually a decent overall battle, we now enter the buildup chapter. It's a good one though. It's actually interesting to see how this is all going to play out. And I don't really mean the fight. Even though I am looking forward to it, maybe not so positive side because of the history behind it. But I am looking forward more towards what's going to happen to the Fairy Tail Guild itself. So, what about this chapter? This chapter, what does it introduce? Well, it introduced a lot of different new plot elements. Something that's going to supposedly change the tide of the war and supposedly going to be the climax of everything of this war or just the series itself, which is going to be pretty interesting if it plays out the way I think it does, or at least plays out normally and actually going for a bit of a risk taking of that the series kind of really actually truly needs it badly, especially with the side that where people are really thinking that this has been a one-sided battle, a one-sided war coming from the Ishgard continent, basically the Saber-Tooth, fairy tales, etc. And, you know, that is understandable because this whole Spring of 12 thing. But regardless, there are a lot of things that is pretty much telling that this war is still not that one-sided, and even though a lot of things are happening off-screen, it's still pretty much even the odds, or whatever, how they say it. So what this chapter goes, we have after the aftermath of Jacob versus Natsu and Lucy, and Brandish, you know, still in behind bars because, you know, she's still technically a villain, even though she hasn't been much of a villain at this whole time. Now she's just more of a pretty much a lost character, and she just goes there. She's just there just to say like stuff like that. Couldn't believe that they actually took out Jacob. You know, never that they thought they would take out Jacob. Well, also it's nice to know that at least Natsu actually say, you know, thank you for actually cure him with, you know, with the whole size thing, the whole taking out that tumor, that magic tumor, whatever that was. But after that, she goes down there and she recalls that August is on the horizon, and pretty much we got more hype on August. August has been hype since Makarov mentioned him back in the day where they were recalling not all Spring of 12 members, but recalling most of them, the majority of them. And I remember August was the only one that stands out for Makarov. He's like, oh, he's the worst of the worst, or something like that. Even more so than God Serena, but at least we'll be okay with August, because August is not a dragon slayer. Nothing to resemble something that Arcalugia has to one-shot him. And that's at least that way that we are safe to say that August won't get one-shotted by Arcalugia and not really be messing up the hype. Though I am remaining skeptical because this series has a flaw of keeping the hype real, keeping the hype, you know, meet the expectation. Because August has been hype ever since Makarov, or if you could really argue, ever since the time he saved Agil from getting hit by the powerful lightning strike by Laxus, and he just negate that magic like it's no big deal. So it's possible that is the real hype begin. But with Makarov, Brandish, you know, and the showcase, and even Jacob himself, the fact that these characters has been hyping him up, I'm only hoping that he really meets the expectation. I'm hoping he changed the tide to this war, even though later on this chapter, it kind of tells you the war has been, the tide has changed, or more like it's always been this way, but you just never see it on screen. But yeah, August is definitely getting a lot of hype, and it doesn't help that he's the one that messed up the radar for fairy tales to detect on the good, the bads, and whatever. So what it leads to Mavis. The Mavis icona scene. Now, people actually believe that Mavis, the idea to beat Zeroff is to actually do fan service of her. Now, it almost sounds, you could still joke about that with this one, but that's not really the case. The case is that Mavis wants Kana to attack the projector body of Mavis, which is right there, and pretty much attack her in order to destroy the fairy heart. The fairy heart, the lacrima, that's keeping her alive, technically speaking, keeping her around, making that magic and making the lacrima into a powerful weapon of them all, the fairy heart. So now she wants to destroy it And Kana could not believe that she's hearing this. It could not believe that she wants to remove the body and have her be responsible to be the one to destroy Fairy Heart. And that's going to be like, it's a lot of weight into her. It's a lot of weight for Kana to carry. Interesting though, because it seems like it seems a bit weird timing from the previous chapter on how she discovered this is the key to victory. And the moment where there's a fan service, unless you're trying to tell me remove the body, throw the body as they're off, and there you go, fan service because she's naked. But that's the joke. But let's be serious about this. And all jokes aside, Of course, it does make sense how she got the idea when she was dealing with Jacob. It just kind of seems the timing seems a bit odd since, we just saw the whole fan service and she said it at the very end where Lucy and Natsus were having a comeback moment. It seems like the timing of finding out the plan is a little bit odd. But either way, it did the whole idea of Mavis body being the whole crystal actually getting destroyed, actually breaking apart, actually comes from this very battle. Still, I kind of wish the timing was a little bit different so I could understand how she even come up with that idea. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. The point is, she wants her body to be removed from the crystal, and that way everything could be, the whole Fairy Heart, the whole goal from Seraph, as according to her, will be diminished if she has been destroyed. That's a lot of things to talk about. That's a lot of things to carry the whole entire weight. Now we're going back to the northern side, where you see Gaja and the other guys. They're about to prepare to fight, and there we have a scene that, be honest, I actually saw this in the spoiler thread. I don't know why. I just end up seeing it for one moment, and boy, talk about off-screen raging demon takedown from these villains, from the Spring of 12, the Alvarez Empire, and they really took out the entire Alvarez. The entire Sabretooth and Pegasus Guild members. I think they take on the good majority of them. It's astonishing, and the crucifixion. Never thought I would see that today. I never thought I would see that in Fairy Tail, no less. Granted, they are alive, and I know people was like, why not just kill them? This is this series, okay? But anyway, yeah, there's some crazy stuff still, regardless if they are still alive and all. It's still crazy stuff to see a crucifixion on these characters that we all know. And Gaja could not believe that these two guilds has been taken out this quickly. And that pretty much segues to the scene there where we get the idea that the Ishgard continent is actually struggling against these empire of Alvarez. The Alvarez Empire, they actually struggling badly. Even though we have seen a lot of battles that the Fairy Tail team, the Ishgard members winning the battles, it still actually come off as a losing battle for Fairy Tail and all the others. So kind of interesting to see a lot of victories going to Spring of 12 off screen, and when it comes to the good guys, it's all on screen. Well, I hope I said that right. So, but I kind of wish. I hope we get to see Spring of 12 win a battle on screen and just give us the idea how threatening they are. Now, this whole army taking down the entire guilds, that's threatening. That's good. And I like that the men's are getting thin and they are starting to struggle real badly. And hopefully, things will get much darker soon. I'm not expecting like the intense start that, be ascended by a moment for whatever reason. But my point is, these Spring of 12, the Alvarez Empire, they have to show the intimidation. They mean business. These guys are no joke. We need more of that. So the whole crucifixion, regardless that it's a bit of a shame that we don't get to see these guys fight. But hey, maybe later on they can. Who knows? I still expect Sting and Rogue to go have a battle in the future. but not right now. As for the other members, I want them to fight too, but it's still early to say. And if they don't fight, that's a bit of shame. But what can you do? That's just the way how Hiro Mashima works his way in the manga. And yeah, again, the good guys are struggling. You see Laxus trying to get up, recovering and all that. Wendy's being treated in a very physical, normal, manual medic supply rather than, the usual magic thing. So there's a lot of things that's going on. You see Gray, Juvia, and others are still struggling with their battle. There's a lot of things to take out. And then that's where we actually get to see Kagura, Urza, and Giotto. Now, Giotto, these three guys, off these, it almost seems like they settle their agreements off screen, but it seems like that's not really the idea that Mashima has in mind. The real idea is to have Simone. Yeah, I'll go Simone. That's Japanese way of saying it. I'm hoping. Simone is back alive. Yeah, another character being revived out of the blue. Well, actually, not out of nowhere, or not really another one. Well, Lizana did get revived. Anyway, that's really not the case. I'm only kidding around. However, he is there, but it seems like it's done by some darkness power. Who by any chance? Nayahart is the one that's behind Simone coming back to life for this moment. For whatever reason, it has to do with the darkness of the heart of a person. And obviously, all of them has a connection. And that connection is to Simone. Go figure, right? But that's the idea I see, that they try to have this agreement with Simone being alive. Which is funny because I actually pitched in that, I have a funny feeling they're going to have Gray father coming back to alive and tell Gray not to kill N because it relates to Natsu. Natsu, they're both best friend rivals. So I kind of want them to actually, learn a lesson on their own, no guidance, nothing like that. But doesn't happen to Gray. Instead, it happened to Urza, Jiao, and Kagura. Which I hope it doesn't really lead to that way. I hope there are self-conclusion from themselves rather than getting a little boost, a little guidance, a little segue. Just like having Simone just say, oh no, don't hate on Giro, he's cool. Bye. I don't want anything that simple. Something that could be something that like not really easy to relate with. I know it's just fairy tale, but still, I don't want it to be that simple. At least it's not doing to Gray, but I kind of wish it didn't happen here either way. Anyway, we'll go with Nayahart, and Nayahart had an appearance of something to be feared back in the time where we only see a shadow. Now, we have something to say about him, and he looks like some pretty boy guy who you just want to punch in the face, but never thought I would see that kind of design. But then again, sometimes you're always gonna see something that you unexpected because that's just how the author works. Yeah, he's pretty much a pretty boy design, but as we all know, just from the early hype, he seems to be rather very intimidating, and the magic he pulled off is based on something with darkness, and it's not going to be a good thing. So that's where the chapter ends. That battle with Urza, Jiao, and Kagura going against, I guess, maybe Simone and Nayahart, excuse me. Am I looking forward to it? More or less. I think because this is where I remember talking about the last review about the battle being, actually pretty decent and something different and not the usual thing. Well, the usual thing might happen in the next chapter with Urza being Urza and pulling out something only Urza can do. I can't be wrong. I'd like to be wrong, but I haven't been wrong with this with this scenario. But you never know. I couldn't only hope for that. But it's a pretty good. But it's it's a good build-up chapter. I enjoyed this one. It's a lot of things that's going to lead to the big climax of the entire arc, or even the entire series, no less. With this battle, well, I'm just going to lower my expectation and just hope for the best and it all goes well. Oh, we'll see. Let's see where Urza Curse comes in. At this time, I actually started recording this part of this last half of the podcast. I actually started recording in the morning of Tuesday, which it will go up later on today. Well, unfortunately, I just caught the fever, or at least that's what I'm assuming right now. As you could, I think you could tell my voice has deteriorated. I really can't go further, but I'm gonna try my best. Luckily, this chapter itself is a great chapter, and it's straightforward too. So I don't really need to go too much over it because I have explained it from the last week chapter. What I'm talking about is with the whole Kamui. I called it, and this chapter pretty much clarified it completely about how his character went to the way he is right now. Not only that, this chapter has actually gone back to more focus of Umibozu versus Utsuro. And it seems that they put a halt on Kamui going against Kagura, unless they really not going to go over there. But I do think that could be the case. Anything's possible, but it seems like that's the only way to put a halt on that fight and go over this one, because we can't have two fight going around. It happened with the Shogun assassination arc, where Kagura and Kamui fight for a bit, and then you see the fight again for a bit, and a lot of fighting moments happen off screen because we have focused more with Tatsuki versus Gintoki. But in this case, it seems like this is going to matter a lot anyway. So again, the flashback continues. It continues for a short moment, right after the moment that Kamui take a strike at his own father, Umibozu, and the flashback. And if you really want to know who breaks his arm, unfortunately, it was Kamui himself. I don't know. I don't recall if they ever showed that in the previous chapter. I mean, not the previous chapter. In the past of the series, I don't think so. But to find out it was him is pretty brutal stuff. Pretty eerie and sad at the same time. Because that's the son. The son is the one that breaks his arm off. And I assume that arm itself was holding something that could have helped Koka, or more like, well, I said say help, but I can't say save, but it could have done something. But that actually plays a part later on in the series, later on in this chapter to be effect. So you get the idea. This is where Kamui splits off from the family because his father just beat him down. And, I guess that's where it almost led to him to try to kill Kamui until Kagura shows up. The whole ordeal of don't kill him, don't fight, she's crying and everything. That's where Kamui take the chance to run away and say, screw you guys, screw the family and everything. Even though he really wanted to protect Koka, but he can't because, if the father is there, and that blocks him away to try to do what he wanted to do with his mom. And it feels like it stops short just because there might be a little bit more in the future chapter, in the next chapter, or in whatever the chapter that would complete the story of Yado family. And we see Kamui telling Kagura what's bothering him right now, and that's the fact that Kagura resembles his mother so much that before he strikes her down completely, he actually shows a face of remorse, a face of regret, a face of sadness. when he's about to hit and take her down and say, just stay down, because it just only resembled the one that he could not protect, one that he failed to protect, one that he really cherished. And again, it's like what I said in the last chapter. He is coming from two goals in mind. With one has been destroyed, one has been dealt with, and it's never success. It's not a success. It was a complete failure. But now he has another goal that's been around since his young age, and that is to be the best, to be the strongest, to be stronger than his own father, to defeat him, to kill him, just to prove that he actually succeeded on what he really wants to be. And at the same, again, seeing him looking at fate, having that face against Kagura is just, you could tell this child is broken. You could tell he is broken a lot from that past. It never really changed him. He's really, really awestruck. He's really damaged. He's the only way to fix him up is actually beat him down. It's the only way. You can't really talk sense out of him. He has to be dealt with. He has to be proven that even if he's approaching to be the strongest man in the world, whatever, he's going to find somebody that's going to take him down, find somebody that's going to be more stronger than him. So I feel like Kagura is the only choice. I can't be wrong, but I feel like she has to be the one to take him down. So now we'll go back to Umibozu and Utsuro fight, which is, by the way, has been a great fight so far. This since the time where they started fighting exchange. And here is a continuation. But unfortunately, Uboto give you the sense of feeling, to give you the sense of what Umibozu is dealing with, and that is a losing ground, where he's losing the momentum, where he's losing energy, losing more of his body part, as Utsuro is just there, just dealing with it, or taking the joy in, and just having a look of what else you got. Especially where he crack his neck, when he's like, healing up, smiling, like he's enjoying every moment of it. Umibozu more and more just starts to lose. More and more he starts to get weakened. It's just hard. It's just hard for him to deal with. They described this as the two dragon fighting each other. Normally it will actually long for a long time, if not forever. Unfortunately, one is immortal and the other one is not. So therefore, even if they exchange for a long time, one is actually starts to lose his body, as the other dragon keep on going circle and circle and circle. So eventually to the point that the other dragon will lose entirely, which that's Umibozu. We are seeing two dragons going against each other, and Umibozu is already at the losing peak until he has one final idea to do, and it requires him to actually get struck down in a very brutal way. He gets stabbed straight on. No hesitation. He gets stabbed straight on. Utsuro wonder what is his game. And that's where Umibozu just struck to the heart area. And at first, you would think that he's trying to go for the heart and try to crush it like some Mortal Kombat character. But no. The idea is to use the Coca Crystal Altana, the one that came from her home planet, and actually to notify. As in, okay, this is how it works. These Altana immortal characters, such as Koka and Utsuro, now they have an energy source. They have these crystal within. They have something that will keep them immortal, keep them alive, keep them strong. And that's how Umibozu found out himself about his wife, how it works. But of course, it's all too late. And unfortunately, it took him a long time, because the planet he's in, her planet, her home planet, was already a dying planet, and everything is all dried up. Even if you found the crystal, it's still weak enough. It doesn't save her, but rather just only prologue the inevitable. That's the only thing it did for her, unfortunately so. And at least he found the cure. It took him a long time, not cure, but some energy source. It took him a long time, but he made a huge progress, and it pays off now. And the reason why using that crystal against Utsuro, because it will nullify the other user if that other user belongs to a different planet, which in this case Utsuro is on Earth. So Umibozu got one final plan, and that is to use the crystal, plant it right in the heart, and then once they get connected, it would just implode, which it did, and that's the chapter ended. The chapter ended on a pretty gruesome imagery, but I really like this. I'm really hoping Umibozu escaped from this deathbed he had. He took a fatal blow, but he could walk it off because he's a Yado family, but hopefully not too severe, to the point that if Utsuro is standing back up and try to fight him down right on, then he's screwed. I don't know what's going to happen. Next chapter, no hint, so you don't have no idea what's going on. But the fight, it seems like it's almost over with Umibozu, Utsuro, or maybe it is over. Maybe he's going to walk off to the sunset. I doubt that part, but I don't know what's the next part of the battle. What now? But I know Utsuro is not dead. I know he's not out, but I do wonder how he's gonna come back from this. What's the explanation behind this? It's definitely gonna be very interesting, though. Definitely. Oh boy! Once this fight ends, we're gonna have another fight. Not sure with who. It'll probably be a continuation. We'll see how this all plays out. But definitely a great chapter. Kind of wish I could explain more, but again, I unfortunately caught a cold, I believe. This sucks. I gotta do Tokyo Ghoul now. We'll see how can I survive. If there's one way to take down a god, it's to have another god on your end. This chapter, boy, the way the chapter ended is nothing but all hype for the next chapter. Unless this next chapter will actually deceive us and just go to another story, the other half of the other story of this entire arc, the Root Island part. It could happen, but if it doesn't happen, if it doesn't go to another story, if it actually stays wherever we stay at, we're going to have some hell of a chapter next week, or this coming weekend, whenever it comes. This next chapter is going to be massive. But how about this chapter? What about this chapter? And this chapter itself is great. It's a great chapter that leads to this could be an epic proportion event. I like this chapter so much. This is a really good chapter. This is mainly more of a flashback chapter, but it's really done well. The art is all, really top notch here. It has a lot of flashbacks. That's something that you already saw from Yomo before, but this time is more expanded, is more depth, and this time is actually more of his point of view, of his reaction and how he come across after the event that has unfolded. Mainly the moment where Yomo's sister has been killed off by Arima himself. This is a more in-depth from the first series, and this one is just, this chapter, it really pays a lot more. It makes me respect a lot more to Yomo and what he has accomplished. Despite the fact he has no real connection, as in like him putting himself away from being connected with his family, the one that his sister children are still around, and we after knowing the fact that he is the uncle of Toka and Ayato, you wonder like yourself why he's never told them, and everything gets explained in this chapter. And of course, and by the end it leads to like a real huge cliffhanger. They only ask the reaction from the fans. The reactions of the characters within this predicament is going to be massive, unless we're really going to ignore it. But the chapter title says otherwise. But let's not get to let's not jump ahead and just get to the very beginning again. Yomo, as you saw from the last chapter, just struck down by Arima, and he was bleeding badly inside that mask. And then this is where the flashback begins with Yomo. But yeah, Arima is in fact is trying to kill all three of them within. It's just crazy how this guy, the way he has been doing this whole arc so far. It's just insane just to see how much he can go. But anyway, with a flashback, we actually see the flashback of the Yomo sister, the family. They all, all seem like a normal family. They're ghouls, but they're so normal. These ghouls are because you know what they say, ghouls are always a monster or whatever. But in reality, they really are just normal. They're just normal. They're like humans. And you would never know from just seeing outside. So one page alone just gives you the right idea how much of a normal people they are. They're ghouls, but they're like normal people. One page would settle it all. And then once after that moment happened, Arima shows up. Well, not he doesn't show up, but you get the idea that Arima kills Yomo's sister, which, by the way, Arima was at a young age. Basically with the blue hair, whatever the hair color, not white hair. So this guy is just, he's really that strong, even from that time. And then we remember, if you recall the flashback, we have Arata, Krishna, actually going straight to Yomo and tell him he's sorry that he couldn't, excuse me, that he's the one that tells Yomo, that his sister, his wife was killed off. The Arata wife has been killed by Arima, and telling her, he was saying like, sorry for this, sorry he couldn't do anything, sorry he was so weak. And Yomo proceeds to actually manage to make it much worse by actually telling him, yes, this is your fault. It is your fault for letting her to die. And, it's ironic because he's the one that's telling him, he's the guy that's telling him that Arata is just the guy who's trying to put a blame to somebody else just because he's weak. Yet the irony is that Yomo is actually the one that's feeling that sentiment, and he's the one that's actually weak himself. I got to make this chapter a little shorter because I'm a little. I guess I got the fever. Crap. But anyway, yeah. So Yomo pretty much went to his own alleyway and actually proceeds to show his actual emotion, which is very frustration, anger, and pretty much all to himself more so than anyone else. And then we jump ahead all the way to the moment where he starts working with Teku with Yoshimuro. And they have a conversation with each other. Well, at that point, you saw Yomo struggling, trying to connect, doing something right, but he just can't really do anything, something that's really helpful, which is actually leads to the whole. Pretty much it was the whole premise of this entire chapter with Yomo and his character, no less. His connection, him trying to be helpful, him trying to have a connection with his own family, the children of his own sister, and they have a conversation, which you get the idea they both have the exact same regrets. The regrets of trying to protect, or regrets of can't able to protect because of the environment, the society they live in, the position they're placed in, and most importantly, the idea of both of them are not strong enough to able to protect the one they wanted to cherish, the one they really care the most. With Yomo is a different Yoshimuro is different from Yomo, but it's somewhat similar in terms of protecting, because in this case, his case is obviously the V organization, while Yomo is with the whole CCG, or like just in general life. It's just the environment they're in. So one they get chased by a ghoul organization, and the other one's getting chased by just human itself. And they both, it's pretty a depressing set of mood when we have these two discussing about how much they regretted to not to able to fight, not to able to stand their own, being strong enough to protect one another. And that I'm assuming because of that event with Yomo's sister getting killed, I'm assuming that's where Arata ends up like, going for power, ends up going for the quest to gain so much power to protect his own children. And I guess that's where it leads to the moment that he got his Kagaja. I think that's how he got it. That's the assumption I'm getting from this. And it sucks because it's like he got it, but it only makes him a bigger target, and it also makes CCG more intrigued to get him since he got Kagaja, which we all saw how they all utilize his power. It only begs the question, where is he right now, since we keep seeing a modification? But I think, maybe that will explore more. I'm not really sure, but that's definitely it does seem like it suggested that after that moment, that's where everything just went downhill for Arata. Even though he's trying to do his best to, please his kids at a normal basic day. And I guess that's really cut it short. So basically at the very end, Yomo, he talks about this connection. Again, his character is about this whole connection thing. So I'm going to lower my voice for a little bit. So he's talking about the connection. Use the sea metaphor. And it actually leads to the whole coffee thing. And the idea for him is to have him feel like he should believe that what he's doing is meaningful. What he's doing is accomplish anything. And with Toka and Ayato still around, he has another shot to make himself known, to make himself feels like there is hope through this whole suffering that he has to go through, the entire suffering that his family has to go through. But now it feels like this is the right time to say that he will now protect them, and he will actually do whatever the cost to make him believe what he has done is for a reason. And it's interesting that he has the lightning strike, and so I wonder. I can't really bet on it, but I would like to think that one of these kids, Toka and Ayato, probably has that ability, but I can't really say. Maybe it's just their thing, but it is cool to see Yomo doing what his sister has. Their technique is pretty much like. It's pretty much like this one's for her, and he strikes down at Ayama. And unfortunately, Ayama just takes it like nothing. He's like, and then he just shot it back. He shot his Quinque right back at him. But there is an interesting thing that Anima is, his weapon, his Quinque actually got damaged. So if it gets damaged, that means it's only a matter of time that it's going to break off. And when it breaks, maybe they have the fighting chance to win. But unfortunately, Yomo is about to take the final hit, and he pretty much has his final monologue with his sister. And at one point, I was really afraid that he was going to die here. Because I'm convinced that once you have a flashback, you would just start, you would head to deathbed. And that's what it almost seems like, until Kanaki actually arrived right on time, and that's where the chapter ended. And one hell of a double page, giving the idea that he has arrived before Arima, and we're only going to see a lot of reaction from the people, the crew, everyone in there. And Arima is so godly. He actually took on the entire family single-handedly. Even when they're trying to double team him, he's just so much. But now with Kanaki, I feel like even though Kanaki wants to go out with a bang, I feel like they have a fighting chance. The weapon, his queen got damaged. It's only a matter of time that thing will break off. And if it breaks off, they could have a fighting chance. They could actually kill him off once and for all. It will be the only chance. I feel like this is the only opportunity they will ever get. I don't know if this really, I don't know if they really want to stay by, try to fight him and try to kill him, or they really going to try to run away. But the thing is, it's all on Kaneki at this moment, because he is the one that is going to pay the sacrifice, as he is trying to, it's something that he really wants to do. He has not told, he has not said anything about it. But first, we gotta see the reaction. The reaction is going to be something behold, especially with Toka, after she really wants him to be happy. Now he's out there being a criminal, something that life could took a turn around, something that he could have stayed in, but he didn't. So great, definitely a great chapter. Next chapter is all hype. What is to come? This next chapter title is with the showdown with the Reaper. That already tells you that it's going to be against Arima. I wish I could talk longer, but unfortunately I got this event of I got something fever, cold. I'm not sure. I tried my best. I'm truly sorry for this short review. Could have gone a little longer, but I'm sorry I have to. I can't explain more. I can't go over more. I did write a review. I did write more of a prediction in my Tumblr post. Hopefully you could check it out. That's it for this review. I hate fever, or if I do have fever, who knows? But I do hate this right now. That will do it for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. I do apologize for this sudden sickness. Again, the first half actually was recorded on a Monday. The second half was recorded on early Tuesday. And apparently, once you wake up, you go sick. But, boy, but I'll recover fast. I recover really fast. I could deal with this easily. Just wish it didn't happen during the podcast recording. Thankfully, these chapters, mainly, well, actually, all of these chapters, they're, kind of straightforward, a lot of, clarification, and they were short chapters. Not really, but, they were easy to explain. That's something you just already know by reading it. Kind of wish I could go further more longer than I did for Gintama and Tokyo Ghoul, but regardless, I do think you get the idea. They were great chapters, something to behold, a lot of things to be hyped up for the next one. So, yeah, don't get sick like me. I'm going to recover. I'll be fine. Of course, I will continue writing posts on my Tumblr page. There's a link I'll leave there. You can always follow me if you like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. That's it. This weather has been killing me. Unfortunately, New York weather has been brutal this year. It's wacky. I'm in winter again in a spring season. I don't even understand anymore. I'm not going to bother anymore. All right. I'll see you next time for more Sparda's World podcast. Take care. Want more of Sparda's World? Subscribe here today. Every week of Tuesday, a new episode releases, bringing you the latest anime manga news and reviews of the latest chapter from various series. Plus, there are extras at any time or schedule that discuss other topics, including first impression, final thoughts, and many more. Subscribe today, and I'll see you next for more Sparda's World.